in my opinion, the most credible UF sighting we have on record coming up.
So if you like exposing truth and dropping truth bombs, then welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday.
I want the truth.
Well, a big Shazam to you people. It's episode 3 of Tinfoil Tuesday. Got a hot one for you today. I'm going to walk you through it, tell you some highlights. This is the Cliff Notes. There's a lot more. And at the end, I'm going to tell you what I think and give you some information on where you can go see more about this. It's a wild story. It may be a fun rabbit hole to go down should you choose. Today's episode is brought to you by CMMG. You're going to love them. I certainly do. They run like the scalded dog, rock solid warranty, and they're made American muscle in Boonville, Missouri. Tell them I sent you. Use that coupon code right there. Big thank you to the folks at Tinfoil Tuesday, CMMG. Can't say it. You people, thanks for every thumbs up. If you like this, get yourself subscribed. Appreciate you people. All right. A lot has changed in my lifetime on UFO sightings. And we know that like back when we were growing up, y'all remember the Brady Bunch? UFOs back then were like, woo, with the flashlight and all that nonsense. Things have changed in especially the last 15 years. There's several things that we know about the unknown is that people see ships. They see ships. We know that has been documented over and over and over again. Originally, it was like, ooh, spooky stuff by crazy people. But over the years, things have kind of settled down to where we know that it happens. This is from the New York Times, an article in 2017, front page of the New York Times. Glowing auras and black money, the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program. The New Yorker ran this, how the Pentagon started taking UFOs seriously. That was in 21. The New York Times was in 17. And on congressional record is Commander David Fravor. If you want to chase that, he's got a lot of information. He's the guy that he's a naval pilot. He saw the Tic Tac shaped one. It was a long Tic Tac cigar shaped craft. We know that these crafts follow our warships all day, every day, 24/7. And there's been so many thousands of sightings over the years, but there's different levels of credibility. For today, I want to talk to you about the Berkshire's UFO, or you'll hear it called the Berkshire County UFOs. Now we call them UAPs. Back then they called them UFOs. And it's a wild story, and I find these people super credible. When you all chase it, I'm going to give you their names. You're going to see people that believe. And even if you don't believe it, they certainly do. The entire region, it's not just these people I'm going to talk about. All over Western Massachusetts, folks saw it. We're headed to Western Massachusetts to Berkshire County. The night is September 1, 1969 in the Great Barrington area. And I'm going to walk you through a few of these people. There's a lot more that saw it. Let me start with Melanie Kirchdorfer. She was 14 years old. It is the last night of summer. She's with her family in a vehicle out at Lake Mansfield. They were having ice cream and lights come up, and out of the lake comes a UAP or a UFO. Her father, kids screaming in the back of the car, gives chase, and mom is saying, don't chase it. Kids are saying, don't chase it. And then bang, Melanie finds herself inside of what she described as a ship. She is on a table, pinned to a table or strapped to a table, but she's on a table. She looks around and she sees a lot of children there. It seems to be children. Melanie was 14 at the time. Not far from there, a few miles, is Tommy Warner. He's over at some friend's house. He hears, not audibly, but hears in his mind, go home right now. And he tells his friends, hey, I heard God. God said to go home. He takes off. They follow him because they were scared. He's with the neighbors. They see him, and he's running in place with light, and he can't stop running. He can't go forward, can't go backward. He's running, turns. A UFO comes in, and then bang, hits him with light. He's now on a table. He looks over and he looks eye to eye with Melanie. He knew Melanie from school. They were in school together. He was 10 years old at the time. She was 14. They didn't hang out. They weren't friends, but he knew who she was. All of a sudden, 7 minutes later, he finds himself pinned to the grass in the backyard of his neighbor's house where he had started, and he can't get up. His brother says, get up, get up. He turns, he sees the UFO, and it takes off. The neighbors corroborate this, even on record today, 50 years later, saying, yeah, we saw him. We saw him trying to run in place. He disappeared. The neighbor goes, he was gone for about 7 minutes. Tommy comes back. He goes, I feel like I was gone about 7 minutes. They corroborated with that. Let's head down to Sheffield and the Reed family. It's a mom with the grandmother and her 2 sons. Her name is Nancy Reed, and in the back seat of her car was Tom Reed and his little brother. Tom was 10 years old. They were out driving on the evening of September 1st and Labor Day. They are going through a covered bridge, and I'll show you a picture of that right here. They come through the covered bridge, big lights, and then bang, they all have the sensation of dropping underwater, not from liquid, but from the pressure that you feel underwater. Tommy awakes on the table also, and he can hear his family in distress. He recognizes their voices, doesn't see them, but then bang, a few minutes later, the vehicle is not out on a road. The vehicle is now in front of the diner in town that Nancy Reed owned, and they're all back in the car. They all come to, and here's a problem. There was a grandmother, the mother, and the 2 boys. The grandmother did not drive. She was not driving. Nancy was driving. She turned the car off. She knows it was off. Bang, she comes to in front of the diner, and they had switched places, the mother and the grandmother. And she said, that doesn't make sense. Grandma didn't drive. And Tom today, who still talks about, he's been very vocal his entire life about this. He said that he thinks the aliens simply made a mistake. I'm using the word aliens. We have no idea what it was. Insert Jane Green in the Greater Barrington area. She was 42 at the time. She was driving with a friend in their vehicle. They see a bunch of lights. She says, hey, there's a wreck up there. There's cops or there's ambulances. And so she stops, gets out, and bang, there is a ship in front of her that she describes the shape or the outline of a sideways turtle shell. Typical shape. So she and her friend over the next 50 years talk about it openly, and they both saw it. The ship is hovering, and I love this detail, in silence, complete silence. When it was time for Netflix to come and interview them for a documentary, one of her sons, who at the time of September 1st, 1969, was at home with his brother, she said, hey, I just got off the phone with Netflix. They want to interview me. And the grown son at this point goes, why, Mom? Years ago, I saw a UFO. And he goes, yeah, we saw it that night too. And she's like, why didn't you tell me about it? He goes, well, we thought you'd think I was crazy. And she goes, I never mentioned it. Thought y'all would think I was crazy. They had never talked about it and had been together for 50 years at this point because they each thought the other would think they were crazy. A lot of reports came in. They flooded into Tom J at WSBS Radio. So the radio station is fielding calls in real time, all up and down Western North Carolina. Or Western Massachusetts, folks are calling in, and the radio station is fielding calls, but no police reports were filed. It looks like one of the newspapers, a gentleman spoke to them years later and said, hey, why did y'all not run anything? And the guy that was on duty at the newspaper the next day when they would have been printing this said, we thought it was all a bunch of hooey. My opinion, when you see these people talk, when you hear their stories and you hear this corroborating evidence and they are all seeing and saying the same thing, it looks like it was children that were taken. It looks like they were laid on tables. It looks like it was temporary. It looks like things were changed in their mind where they didn't remember. They all say the same story, but I find this story wild because people are very credible. When they tell their stories, you can say, yeah, they believe this. I don't know if I believe it, but they certainly do. Now, things have changed over the years in that area. Back then, folks didn't talk about it a lot, but as of today, I read a researcher that said this. He said in Berkshire County, it's kind of today accepted that something happened in those years. And I say years because this happened over a period of time. There was one big night on September 1st, but there was other folks that were taken multiple times, and it's just a thing that happens in that area. It seems that Berkshire County is a hotbed, and I find that wild. That county is a hotbed. There's also an area in England that's also a hotbed specifically for crop circles, and it's in the same county that Stonehenge is in. Some of these folks never talked about it. some of these folks did talk about it, like Tom Reed. Tom Reed talked about it, and it ruined his life. The family ended up leaving town because of the ridicule. The folks that talked about it did ruin their lives. They were affected by this, and nobody gained anything from this. There was no gain here. Nobody was publishing a book. Nobody was running a podcast at that time. This is an anticlimactic story, and I love it. Y'all know I love nothing more than question marks. I get to the end, I'm like, all right, now what? How do we explain this? And it seems like it's still going on, possibly in that area, but it's an anticlimactic story, and I love that even better. Stories that have a neat bow, that are wrapped up neat and tidy, and they hand you a full, complete story, a Campbellian story circle. For me, they're too convenient. This is, hey, something happened, and I still think about it all the time. It's still, and all of these folks say this, clear as a bell, just like it happened yesterday. Today, these folks are still talking about it. For more information, you can see the Unsolved Mysteries, not the old series, but the newer series on Netflix. An easy way to see more about this will be the episode Berkshire UFO, Unsolved Mysteries, episode 1. You can take any of those names and type that into the Google and read more about that. I believe it's the most credible experiences that have been documented, and these stories and narratives have been told that we have. UAPs and UFOs. What say you? Let me know right down below. I'll see you next week on Tinfoil Tuesday.
Welcome to Tinfoil Tuesday. We hope you sing along.
You want answers? Diabetes.